Good evening and welcome to Whisky Without the Guff episode 19. This is all about my friend Mike. Mike and Cindy are visiting us just now, and Mike is the only guy in the whole world who's ever introduced me to a single malt that he was actively tasting. I mean, I've had lots of people say, oh, I should try this or that. But Mike was actively drinking this stuff before anybody heard about it. I was sort of thrown off course a little bit, because if you listen to the English, Mike's not English, but he does have the same English thing insofar as the English don't seem able to say CH. So for instance, Loch Lomond or Loch Ness becomes Loch Lomond, Loch Ness. So without the clicking, I mean, they call it Loch Lomond, Loch Ness. Anyway, so Mike was calling Mortlach, but actually he was saying something else, because it sounded to me like Warlock or something. So what happened is he and a friend of his called Bob were visiting Scotland, and they visited the Mortlach, I'm even saying it like Mike, Mortlach distillery, and fell in love with the stuff. So they brought a few bottles home, and Mike was always telling me about this Warlock. Have you tried Warlock? I'm thinking, the hell's he talking about? Never even heard of it. Never mind, tried it. Eventually he let me taste some of this, and I thought, oh my God, this is good stuff. And I noticed it was actually Mortlach. And I was always puzzled as to why had I never heard of this? Well, turns out that the Mortlach distillery is a couple hundred years old, or thereabouts. But for the bulk of their life, all of their product, like 100%, went to blends. So it's only relatively recently, like a decade and a bit, I'd say, that they decided, oh wait a minute, there's this single malt thing going on, we should maybe, present a single malt, see if it sells. And it sold real well. Mortlach, when, I'm saying it again, Mortlach, when we started drinking it, I started drinking it right after Mike introduced me to it. It was a great bargain, because I don't think many people had heard about it, and it was fairly low cost. Now, unfortunately, the public and its fame caught up with it, so the price kind of went chung. So now it's probably priced competitively. And so we're going to taste the Mortlach 12 and then the Mortlach 16. And before I leave that, this is called, the Mortlach distillery is called the Beast of Dufton. Dufton is the wee town right in the middle of Speyside. So if you're going to Speyside, you'll undoubtedly go to Dufton. And they have a name by themselves, like the 12 is called the Wee Witchy, and the 16 is called Distiller's Dream. Then we're moving to Macallan, still in Speyside. Macallan, this is a number 5 edition, or edition number 5. And they make a big deal out of going into a whole lot of different casks, but to me they make the big deal out of the colour of the whiskey rather than the taste of the whiskey. But it's a very nice tasting whiskey. And then finally the Macallan 15 Fine Oak, which is a lovely whiskey. So that's the plan. I'll put the details of these up at the end, and without further ado, let's get drinking. So, good evening. This is somebody you've never seen before. This is Mike. Although, as I said in the introduction, Mike is the only guy in the world who's ever introduced me to a scotch. But you didn't know that.
That's the Mortlach.
Yeah, Mortlach.
Mortlach.
He still can't pronounce it, but he can drink it. Anyway, so we've got the 4 whiskies. The first is a Mortlach 12. Just oh, smells good. Nice smelling.
Slangevar.
Cheers. Nice taste too.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty smooth.
Well, it's very drinkable. And that's a Speyside, obviously. Actually, they're all Speysides. So the next one we have is also a Mortlach, but it's a 16-year-old. So you'd expect this to be a little smoother, a little more complex. Oh, it's a beautiful smell. Just a beautiful smell.
The other one smells stronger to me. It's a little lighter.
Yeah, sometimes the more mature whiskies, they actually, I mean, they got more of a...
Yeah.
They're not actually stronger, but they smell that way. Usually they're smoother.
This one's a little more bitier.
Yeah, it's got a little bite, and it's, but it's smoother.
It has a smooth finish though.
Mm-hmm. No, it's lovely. It's nice. So this makes the 12 to me look a little immature, even though the 12 by itself is just fine. But when you drink its older brother here.
What's the price differential between the 12 and the...
I don't know, but I'll look it up. And at the end I'll put together a little chart that shows you the alcohol by volume of each of these.
This definitely has higher
and the price.
alcohol content. Is that the 16?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
Seems to. So now we've got two Macallans. So the first one is, I think it's a young whiskey. It's the Edition 5. I'm a little confused about this. I've never tasted this. So this is my first smell.
What a difference in the smell between...
Oh yeah. This is more of a medical, I mean it's not a medical smell, but compared to the Mortlach it's got more of a clinical smell.
Yeah, but check out the color on this thing. It's pretty nice.
Nice. Oh, they make a big deal about colour here. They put this in about 3 or 4 different casks to... They talk all about colour on the box and on the... They don't really talk about taste, which I think is a tactical mistake. I think it's wrong. I don't really care what the colour of scotch is. I think they're all nice. Some of my favourites are very pale. They're not that burnished colour at all. But you know, making a scotch for colour versus taste is an act of madness. I don't think that's what they're doing, but they certainly err describing it that way. Nice smell though.
This has a nice warm finish too.
Oh, it does. There's a warmth to this.
Yeah.
You feel it on the sides
I
of
do.
the tongue.
Yep. It's quite nice.
Yeah. Sometimes it's very hard doing this because there are very few bad scotches. You know, you taste them and you go, oh.
I never met a bad scotch.
That's a good drop of stuff. Now finally, number 4 here is a Macallan, but this is a 15-year-old. It's the 15-year-old, I think it's fine oak. It's, but I mean, I need to buy another bottle of this. This is almost gone because it's beautiful stuff. I love this stuff. It's really good. I think when you go from a 12-year-old Macallan to the 15, it goes from pretty nice to sublime almost.
This doesn't have a very strong fragrance at all.
Well, remember, you've just had 3.
Nah, but they're just little, you know, little shots. They're not.
No, but I mean, I don't mean the drinking of it, I mean the smelling of it. It's funny because a lot of people just take one by itself. If I'd just given you this, you'd probably go, oh, that's a nice smell.
This is lovely. I like this one. This is quite nice.
Now, from a taste perspective, it's great.
Yeah.
It's got warmth, it's got complexity,
I think it's
got
better
smoothness.
I think this one's better than the other.
Yeah.
And I like the Mortlach.
Good. Just have a few more whiskies and you'll be able to say Mortlach with no trouble at all.
I can say Mortlach. You gotta have a heavy K.
No, not unless you're English.
I am part English. Irish. Scotch.
Irish is not English.
I'm
If
just
you're ever in
saying.
Ireland, don't tell them you think they're English. That you'll
I
probably
know,
get
yeah.
beaten up.
Probably.
Do you no good? You'll come out of Ireland looking like that. So, what's your favourite?
I'd have to say the Macallan.
The 15-year-old?
Yeah,
Fine
it's quite
oak?
nice.
Oh, it's lovely. Lovely drink. Was there any there that you didn't like?
I like them all.
Yeah, I did too. I would say the one that's struggling the most is maybe the Mortlach 12.
I don't know, I actually find it's a little rough at first, but then the second sip gets smoother.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a better, of all the four, the 12 has, the Mortlach has a better nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked the 16. It smelled good to me, and it sort of invites you in. It's like it's like this is going to be smooth but strong and all that stuff. So, so do you want to go downstairs and drink now?
Yeah, let's go have more of the Macallan.
This is just tasting.
I'll keep my glass.
Oh, there's tons of glasses. Anyway, thank you very much. Hope you
Thank
found
you.
that interesting.
Thanks for the taster.
In summary, these are all nice whiskies. There's not a bad one amongst them. It's one of those things, like I said in the piece, you drink the 12-year-old Mortlach and you think, oh, that's really good, until you taste its older brother and you think, no, this is really good. But everybody seemed to prefer the Macallan. I've been on a pilgrimage in Las Vegas here. I spent about 3 days looking everywhere to find another bottle of this Macallan 15 Fine Oak. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist here. If somebody knows different, or if somebody can tell me where to get this, please let me know. You'll notice that the bottle's way low. I think it's a beautiful drink, and I'd love to buy more of it. You'll also notice that the alcohol by volume in both the Mortlach 12 and the 16 is identical. And yet in the body of that, you'll hear Mike say, oh, this is stronger or weaker or something. And it's amazing that, because you can't really tell alcohol content, I don't think, beyond a certain level. But often the smell of a whiskey or the taste of it, or sometimes both, convinces you that, oh, this is really strong stuff, or this is really weak. And that can be very misleading. The other thing I'd like to point out, that NAS, you have seen that last week too, NAS is no age statement. Some of these whiskies, and I've noticed increasingly, I think they're putting out new whiskies or young whiskies. So they don't have an age statement, but typically these things have a very high alcohol content. So this thing is damn near 100 proof. So I think they make up for some lack in the whiskey, and I don't know what it is. I'm not familiar enough with the distiller's art, and it is an art. But it's a good drop of stuff. But notice the price, $140. So I see a number of people getting a high price for a fairly young whiskey. To me, the most vivid example of this is Octomore from Bruichladdich. Octomore is only 5 years old, but my God, that stuff sells for $400, $600 a bottle. So if you could make something like that in 5 years, that's a hell of a deal for the distillery. But I have to say that Octomore deserves it, because it's a very good whiskey. So that's the end of that. Next time we have another couple of friends visiting us. It seems to be visiting season. And so we'll be doing a retrospective of their visit to Scotland with some of the distilleries that they visited. And until then, I'd urge you to get out and drink. This COVID thing is almost done, so you can get out there with your favourite tipple and have a nice evening with some friends. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.